All right, thank you so much for staying with us here on the AM Report. So it's a big day for Bafana Bafana, as we have been saying all morning, taking on the Black Stars of Ghana at the FNB Stadium. At 6 p.m. is the kickoff. This is a very important game because Bafana Bafana could yet seal qualification to Cameroon AFCON 2022 next year. And I'm joined right now via our Zoom line by the Sunday Times sport editor, Bareng-Batho Kortjaas. BBK, thank you so much for your time and joining us here on the AM Report. Now, I don't need to remind South Africans and Bafana Bafana of what could happen if results don't go our way this evening.
I think I must first say greetings to you, Benji, and also salutations to your viewers. Anyone who is not aware what this 90 minutes plus whatever optional time the referee is going to give on this game, which is an AFCON 2021 qualifier between Bafana Bafana and Ghana, really is not somebody who cares about football. This is a qualifier that is going to help Bafana Bafana, should they prevail with the victory, secure their place and book their bed in Cameroon, a tournament that was supposed to take place some other time earlier, but because of the times that we live in now, of coronavirus, the tournament, like many other sporting events and other events around the world, was pushed back. Now, the significance of this, Penny, is that Molefi Ntseki and his men need to do everything in their power to win this match, because it is going to ease the pressure on them. One, surely it's going to secure qualification. And number two, you don't want to see them, or they don't want to see themselves leaving everything to chance in the last game, which is going to be on Sunday, and that is going to be against the Sudan in Omdurman in Khartoum. Now, the reason you don't want to find yourself getting onto the plane tonight, because they are leaving immediately after the game, Benji, is because there is no guarantee that you are going to be able to get that victory in Khartoum. Indeed, we have played them there, and we have beaten them there during the tenure of erstwhile Bafana Bafana coach Shakes Mashaba, but we also have beaten them when we played them here at home. But the fact of the matter is that this time around, they are not going to be as weak or as the weaklings that they were when we played them. And also, I think that if you cannot be able to put yourself in the driving seat by winning this game against the Ghana team that is really weak, owing to the fact that FIFA gave a circular to clubs in Europe to say that they have a right to refuse to release players because of all these travelings and all this quarantine that they have to do when they come back to their teams. So there's going to be no Andre Ayew, there's going to be no Jonathan Ayew, the famous sons of Abedi Pele. There's going to be no party in midfield for Ghana, as Arsenal have also held back on him as well. So I think that given that Bafana Bafana are almost at full strength, they will only be missing like a Bongani Zungu and the Keegan Dolly. They should be able to do the business. Whether they will be able to do it and pull it off, we are waiting to see by the time kickoff comes at 6 o'clock at FNB Stadium. What could inspire Ghana also, in my opinion, is that they are coming back to what you could call the scene of the crime, in the sense that back in 2010, when South Africa became the first country to be knocked out of the first round of the World Cup, we then adopted Ghana. You will remember the craze, Bafana Bafana and everything else, and they pushed all the way to almost becoming the first African team, to be in a position to reach the semi-finals of the World Cup. That situation was denied by the hand of the devil, that is Luis Suarez, who stopped the ball with his hand, which should have been a goal, but then still Ghana undid themselves, because they did get a penalty that, had they converted, would have been a celebration that would have gone from Cape to Cairo, in that an African team would have reached the semi-final of the World Cup for the very first time. But unfortunately, they did not, and hence they ended up like Cameroon as well as Senegal as the African teams that had reached the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Benji?
And we just showed some of the boards there with the table in Group C as it stands. That win by Sudan yesterday over Sao Tome, surely Coach Molefi Ntseki would have made sure that his team is aware of that, because now it means 9 points for Ghana, for South Africa and Sudan. It puts them in a very awkward place, as you said, for this coming weekend.
It is a weekend which is a make or break. I think one of the boldest things I've ever heard things said by any person in the world, Benji, was one by Molefi Ntseki saying that South Africa can win the World Cup. All right, that for me is going to take many, many years. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be around when or if that happens. But I think that the primary role for him, the major pressing issue for him, is just to try and help the country qualify for the Nations Cup before even dreaming about winning the World Cup. It is important, especially if you consider that in 2019, Bafana Bafana under Stuart Baxter were able to reach the quarterfinals, and that was for the first time in eons, because prior to that, if memory serves me well, forgive me, Benji, I've got a bit of gray hair, so I don't remember things as much as you youngsters do. But I think the last time they had been in the quarterfinal was in 2002, when they were coached by Carlos Quiroz, and that tournament was hosted by Mali. So this push to the quarterfinal place last year, albeit not so very convincing, especially if you take away the game against Egypt, who were the host and who were beaten convincingly. You want to say that you cannot go as lower as that when you go to Cameroon. So you either reach that or you surpass it. But if you are coached by a man with a confidence that is oozing like that of Molefi Ntseki, dreaming of winning the World Cups, so you should be able to do that. So nothing but 3 points is going to do tonight, especially because you want to make sure that you win your home games, which is something that they've been able to do. Sao Tome was a team that they played, and that is also in the World Cup qualifiers. But if you look at, that is what is happening in the team, in the competition now, in the group stages. And if everybody can be able to win their home games, nothing should stop Bafana Bafana from doing the same. And you do not want, and I would like to repeat, you do not want to leave things to the last game on Sunday in Khartoum against Sudan.
And you mentioned a weaker or a weakened Ghana side, BBK. But I look at the effect that this COVID-19 travel restriction, if I can call it that, has had on Bafana. I can count a Tulani Serero, Bongani Zungu, Keegan Dolly. I can count Dean Furman, who are not able to come into the country to play for Bafana. Plus, Bradley Grobler, a proven goal scorer, has pulled out due to injury. Kermit Erasmus, the same thing. Are we not even weaker than Ghana?
You could argue that. You could argue that, Benji, when you consider that if you proceed from the premise that says, where are our players playing? Even the Zungu that you've mentioned, the Dodi that you've mentioned, the Serrero that you've mentioned, vis-a-vis where the Ghana players are playing. So I think it is chalk and cheese when you look at it like that. But I'm saying that if you want to be a big boy, I think I wrote a column in the Sunday Times a couple of weeks back to say that South African football must be playing in the Big Boys League. I'm looking at it from the point of view that Pitso Mosimane, a South African, a Southern African, becomes the very first coach to go and coach an Al Ahly, which is the African club of the century, which is the team that has won most Champions League than anybody else. He completes a treble with them, having done so with Mamelodi Sundowns in the previous PSL season. The fact that a few weeks back we've had a situation where Patrice Motsepe has ascended to the position of Confederation of African Football president. So I'm saying that it is left now with Bafana Bafana, because you can't argue that at club level we have not been able to deliver those kind of goods. When you look at the SuperSport United and the Orlando Pirates, they've reached the final of the Confederations Cup. Pirates have reached the final of the Champions League, having won it in 1995. Sundowns have won this thing in 2016. And you look at the fact that they've gone to TP Mazembe and they've been able to get the victory. So the point I'm making here, around about 10 pages, is that it is now up to the players. Whoever is selected to wear the Bafana Bafana jersey must be saying that in the absence of a Zungu, it is an opportunity for myself to raise a hand and say that I am going to be able to make sure that wherever they are sweating because they can see my performance. If there is no Bradley Grobler, who I think is one of the most unfortunate players in South African soccer, because every time there's an opportunity for him to get a chance with Bafana Bafana and show and transmit his form for club and take it to country, there's something that always happens around him, an injury or so. So I think that if you have a midfield that doesn't have a Zungu, that doesn't have a Dolly. Surely you have a Tabonota. A lot of people have been raving about him, about the kind of player he is, an intelligent player he is. When I spoke to him on my Sport Live with BBK podcast, you could tell that this is not just somebody who kicks football for fun. It's somebody who has a dream, of playing for Kaizer Chiefs, who has a dream of going overseas and playing over there. And also, I think that to go back to your main point, concern, if a Pesitao is not playing, and the Pesitao right now is the wonder boy of South African soccer, is not playing at Brighton for the last 4 or 5 matches and is just on the bench, if he does make it to the bench, it should give you a worry or something like that. But I think that Molefi Ntseki is the head coach of Bafana Bafana. His job is to make sure that the team that he has, he wins matches. I think one of the most famous quotes by Sheikh Mashaba was that if you want to make orange juice and you've got lemons, do not complain that you don't have orange juice, but make lemonade out of those lemons. It is up to Molefi Ntseki, and we will discover whether he's able to do that in, 7-8 hours time from now.
All right, BBK, let's talk about Coach Molefi Ntseki and possibly worst case scenario. If things don't go our way tonight, and it also goes pear-shaped on Sunday in Khartoum, is it absolute disaster for him? Is it over for him? We know that South African football fans are unforgiving when it comes to qualification for big tournaments. What does it mean for him?
I think it's close curtains, Benji. I do not see how we can claim to have a stay of execution beyond that. Minimum is to qualify. We can talk about what you do at the tournament once we're at the tournament. But right now, the issue is that you have to qualify, and you have put yourself in a situation which is very possible for you to attain that kind of results. So I'm saying to you, if it does not succeed to beat Ghana tonight, and he fails to beat Sudan on Sunday, and as a consequence of those 2 results, he is unable to book a berth for Bafana Bafana in Cameroon, what do you keep him for? What do you keep him for? You dream of winning the World Cup, you can't qualify for AFCON. Hello?
All right, BBK, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for talking to us this morning. It's an important match that Bafana Bafana is playing this evening for qualification and, as BBK has alluded to, for Coach Molefi Ntseki's job. If it doesn't happen by Monday, we could be talking another thing. So